Okay, we're going to talk about 3D layers in After Effects. So I'll create a new composition first. And here I'm going to switch to one view. Otherwise, you can choose whichever view you want to see things from. And double click to add something. I'll just get an image for now. Okay, let's say this one. And I'll drag it down. So it's a regular flat image. If I go to scale, I would scale the image down like this. All right, now let's say that I want to turn this into a 3D layer to be able to rotate it in X, Y, Z, because so far I can only rotate it around the center, which is called the anchor point. So if I rotate like this will rotate around the anchor point. If I wanted to change the position of the anchor point, I can either do it from up here, or preferably go up here and choose pan behind. And now you can grab the anchor point and place it anywhere you like. For example, up here, now when I go to rotate and rotate, it will rotate around this position. All right? And I can animate this. So I can place the anchor point here, rotate. Let's do that. Let's animate the position of the anchor point and the rotation. Right? So at the beginning, the anchor point is here. I'll just move a few frames, change the orientation, and then copy these and paste them here so that we have this happening for a few times. Copy this one and paste it there. All right. And this time here, I need to snap to my keyframe. I can press Shift, and that will snap to the keyframe because I want to change the value of the keyframe, not create a new keyframe. So to do that, you either press Shift to snap, or you can navigate between keyframes from here. All right, so I went there because I want to reduce the angle. So first we have, say, a large angle, and then less. Again, press Shift to catch that exactly. And then less. So if I played this, all right, let's say that I want it to be faster and I want to scale the keyframes. What can I do if I wanted to scale the keyframes? Who knows? What am I doing here? I'm scaling the keyframes, which is bringing them closer to each other. For that, you press Alt and you scale. All right, anyway, so now we have it here. That's the position of the anchor point. So we go now there. We set a new keyframe for the anchor point by pressing here. All right, so now the anchor point is there. If I scrub the time a bit more, I can now use the pan behind tool and place the anchor point there. Right? So now I have a new keyframe. And because of that, I also have to animate the position. All right. So I create a new keyframe also for the position, and then I'll go there. All right, I make sure that the two positions are exactly the same. So let's say switch to that other keyframe, set it to 0 in X, and then go here. And this should be 720, which is the width of the screen. So that way, I make sure that I have no cuts. But you see that here, even though we have the same keyframe, all right, it's good. But even though we have the same keyframe, it's moving a little bit. This has to do with the keyframe interpolation, which is how we have the transition from one keyframe to another. I'll talk about this in detail next time. We have seen it in 3ds Max before. All right, so now that I'm here, I can actually create a keyframe for the rotation. like this, and around the new anchor point I can rotate, right? So let's say -15. I'll copy these a few times. Control C, Control V. So down, up, down. Here we need it to be around -10. And then up, and then say -5. And then I'll copy this one, and I'll paste it there. So now we learned how to actually make the object rotate around different pivots at the same time. All right, and we can at any time scale this to create something like this. All right, so this is still not 3D. The reason I showed you this is to tell you that this will rotate around the anchor point, but in one direction only, in around one axis, which is the axis facing the screen. So let's save this. And now to turn this into a 3D layer, I will click here where you have the 3D box. This will become a 3D layer. Look at the rotation and the position. We just have 2 values by 1 value. But if I turn it 3D, we have 3 values for the position, and we have also 3 values for the orientation. Let's remove the animation altogether. So now we have no animation. Let's scale this down a little bit. But the new thing is this. If I go to, say, the move, I have X, Y, and Z like 3ds Max. So if I place the cursor here, I can only move it in X. If I place the cursor there, I can only move it in Y. Now, if I go here, I should be able to orbit the camera, which I don't have yet. Once I will create a camera, I'd be able to rotate like in 3ds Max. But if I go to rotate object now, I can rotate around the X-axis like this, around the Y-axis, and around the Z-axis. So that's freeform, but this is around the Z-axis. If you rotate from the center, from here, you rotate in freeform mode. So let's say that we want to do that. We set the orientation X, Y, and Z, and we go like this. So if you scrub the time now, we have it. If I go to the other side, I see the same thing. All right, and if I copy the first keyframe and place it here, it would come back to the same position. So here we have seen how to rotate objects. I'm going to scale down the composition so that we don't have to wait for a long time after that. How we can rotate objects in 3D. All right? But this is not really a good thing, because sometimes I want to keep the object the way it is and rotate myself around it. So then I would have to create a camera to be able to do that. So let's remove the animation. And I'm going to add the camera in the next video.